explore the parts of you that long for light. Shadow work is not easy, but it is sacred, and you've walked through it with courage. Before I go, I want to offer you one last thing, permission. To rest now. To release the need to solve everything tonight. To let stillness hold you like a soft blanket. You've earned peace, and you are safe to claim it. As I hand you over to the care of Theoline, a voice of grounded affirmation and gentle clarity, know this. You are not alone. Your healing is valid. Your becoming is beautiful. It's quiet now. The noise of the day has settled, and in the stillness, something rises. Not loud, no, but present, persistent. A feeling you couldn't name earlier. A tension in your chest. A memory that arrived uninvited. A question that keeps looping. Why am I still carrying this? This hour, this sacred 2 a.m. is not about fixing. It's about witnessing. It's about gently turning inward to the places you've avoided, the shadows, the stories. You don't need to fight them tonight. You don't need to solve them. Just meet them. Sit beside them. Because beneath the ache, there is an invitation, not to relive the pain, but to reclaim your voice, to say this happened, and I'm still here. So often we're taught to fear the dark, to believe that if something feels heavy, it must be bad, that if we struggle, we're failing. But shadow is not your enemy. It's a messenger, a guide, a part of you that once protected your heart, even if it did so in silence. Those parts you pushed away, the anger, the jealousy, the fear, they were trying to keep you safe, not always in healthy ways, but in the only ways they knew how. Tonight, I want you to bring them into the light, not to shame them, not to erase them, but to understand them, to say, I see you, I know you tried. That's where healing begins, not by cutting off parts of yourself, but by integrating them, by becoming whole. Some pain doesn't scream. It hums beneath your smile. It hides in your laughter. It folds itself into your routines. These are the wounds you don't show. The grief you minimize. The shame you swallowed. The moments you tell yourself, it wasn't that bad. But your body remembers, your nervous system remembers, even if your mind tries to forget. Shadow work is not about digging up the past to suffer again. It's about understanding why certain things still trigger you, why your voice shakes in certain rooms, why you shrink when you should rise. It's not to blame. It's to name. And once it's named, you have the power to choose something new. somewhere along the way. Someone told you that you were too much, too emotional, too needy, too intense. And maybe you started shrinking, diluting your truth, editing your feelings, apologizing for your existence. Let me tell you now, with tenderness, you were never too much. You were too honest for people who couldn't hold honesty. Too sensitive in a world addicted to numbness. Too aware in a culture that rewards denial. But that sensitivity, it's a gift. That awareness, it's power. That emotion, it's depth. Stop asking permission to feel. You're allowed to take up space. You're allowed to speak your need. You're allowed to cry without apology. Your fullness is not a flaw. It's the doorway to your healing. What sets you off? The comments, the looks, the silence. Those are not random irritations. They are mirrors. They reflect the places still asking to be seen. A trigger isn't just a reaction. It's a flare from the nervous system. It signals something here feels unsafe. Not because you're broken, but because there's history. Instead of punishing yourself for reacting, get curious. So, what does this remind me of? Where have I felt this before? What am I afraid will happen? This is the work of depth, of not shaming the parts that still feel raw, but learning what they're trying to protect. You are not your reaction. You are the one observing it. And in that observation lies your power. We inherit more than eye color or last names. We inherit stories, rules, survival codes. Maybe your family taught you, don't talk about feelings. Maybe you learned, keep the peace at all costs. Or, love is something you have to earn. These beliefs live in your bones. Not because you chose them, but because they were passed down. Shadow work is the brave act of questioning those scripts. Who does this belief serve? Is this mine or theirs? What do I want to believe now? You are not here to repeat patterns. You are here to transform them. To become the first to say, this stops with me. It's one thing to not feel safe around others. But what happens when you don't feel safe with yourself? When your thoughts spiral? When your emotions feel too big? When silence becomes a threat instead of peace? This is more common than you think. Many of us were never taught how to sit with ourselves. We were taught to perform, to please, to produce, but not to simply be. So now, when you slow down, your nervous system panics. Your shadows get louder, and you feel unsafe in your own presence. That's okay. It's not a flaw, it's a wound. One we can heal. You can learn to be with yourself again. Not as a critic, not as a fixer, but as a gentle witness. And I'm here to guide you in that return. One breath at a time. We often say, I should have known better. But the truth is, You didn't. And that's not a weakness. That's context. You made choices based on what you knew then, on what you had access to, on the support or lack of it around you. It's easy to look back and judge yourself through today's lens. But healing isn't about punishment. It's about compassion. Can you thank the past version of you for surviving? For getting you here? Even if their methods were messy or reactive. They did what they had to do. And now you get to evolve. With more tools. With more awareness. With more love. That's what healing looks like. Not perfection, but presence. Sometimes healing means grieving, not just what happened, but what never did. The apology you never received. The parent who never protected you. The love that was always conditional. This grief is quiet. It's often unrecognized. And yet it shapes how you move through the world. Grieving unmet needs doesn't make you weak. It makes you honest. It honors the child in you who hoped, who longed, who waited. You're allowed to mourn what you should have had. You're allowed to feel the ache of what never was. And in that mourning, you create space. Space to give those things to yourself now. You may never get the closure you wanted, the apology, on the justice, the understanding, and that's hard. But here's the truth. Closure isn't something they give you. It's something you create, not because it's fair, but because your peace matters more than their guilt. You become the safe place. You write the ending. You say, this chapter is closed. Not because it didn't matter, but because you do. Every time you choose to self-soothe, to speak kindly to yourself, to pause instead of react, you become the safe place your younger self needed. That is sacred work. That is shadow work. You say you want to be known, to be loved for who you are, to be understood. And yet, when someone gets close, you flinch, you second guess, you wonder if it's safer to hide. This is the fear of being seen, not the filtered version, not the high-achieving mask, but the real you, the one who has cracked and rebuilt, the one who carries contradictions. Shadow work invites you to unlearn the belief that being loved means being perfect. It asks, can you show up as you are, even if you're messy, even if you're still healing? Because real connection isn't built on performance. It's built on presence. And the more honest you are with you, the easier it becomes to let others in. You've carried so much that wasn't yours, on the moods of others, on the shame of your caregivers, the responsibility to keep everything together. And maybe no one told you. You can put it down. You don't have to absorb what isn't yours. You don't have to fix what you didn't break. You don't have to carry the emotional load for the entire room. It's not selfish to set boundaries. It's not cold to protect your peace. It's wise. It's necessary. Tonight, I want you to practice releasing. Breathe out what isn't yours. Let the guilt slide off your shoulders. Feel how light you become when you choose to only carry your own truth. You were taught to doubt yourself, taught to defer, taught to stay quiet even when everything inside you screamed, no. And now, that silence lives in you. You freeze in conflict. You shrink when it's time to speak. You second-guess your own instincts, but your voice is not gone. It's waiting. Waiting for your permission. Waiting for you to say, I trust myself again. Shadow work helps you hear yourself clearly. To separate your inner truth from the noise of fear. To honor your no as sacred. To honor your yes as intentional. It's not about being loud. It's about being aligned. When your voice rises from your truth, it doesn't need to convince anyone. You've been taught to apologize for needing, to downplay your pain, to handle it all on your own. And maybe you started believing it, that your feelings were too much, that your sadness was inconvenient, that your hurt made others uncomfortable. But here's the truth. You are not a burden. You are a human being with needs, with limits, with emotions. There is nothing wrong with you for struggling. There is nothing wrong with asking for support. You don't have to earn love by being invulnerable. You are worthy as you are, and the people who can love you deeply will love your whole self, not just the strong parts, but the tender, real human parts too. No one talks enough about the loneliness of healing, the way old relationships fall away, the way you start to feel different in rooms you used to belong to. Growth can isolate you. Not because you've become better than others, but because you've become more you. And not everyone will come with you on that journey. That ache you feel, it's the grief of shedding skins, of saying goodbye to familiar dysfunction, of releasing the roles you once played to stay safe. It's okay to miss what you've outgrown. It's okay to feel both proud and heartbroken. That's part of becoming whole. New connections will come. Aligned ones. But for now, trust that solitude is not the same as abandonment. It's sacred space. For your becoming, if you were taught that anger is dangerous, you might have learned to swallow it, to convert it into tears, to pretend everything's fine while your body screams otherwise. But anger is a compass. It points to violation, to crossed boundaries, to where your soul says, enough. Shadow work doesn't mean eliminating anger. It means listening to it, learning its language, tracing it to its origin. When you stop fearing your anger, you reclaim your power. You stop abandoning yourself for the sake of harmony. And you start choosing what's honest. So ask yourself, what is my anger protecting? And what does it want me to restore? Sometimes it feels like you're going in circles. Like you already healed this part. Already forgave that person. Already did the work. But here you are, triggered again. weary again, questioning everything again. That doesn't mean you're failing. It means you're integrating. Healing isn't a straight line, it's a spiral. You revisit lessons not to punish yourself, but to deepen your wisdom. Each return is an opportunity to respond differently, to soothe more gently, to offer compassion where you once offered shame. So next time you find yourself in a familiar ache, don't say, I'm back here again. Say, I'm meeting this again with more of me present. Rest is not laziness. It's not failure. It's not weakness. Rest is resistance. It's a boundary. It's a declaration that your worth is not tied to how much you produce. You don't need to earn rest. You don't need to explain it. You don't need to apologize for it. You are a human being, not a machine. And your nervous system needs space to reset. Your soul needs time to exhale. So tonight, if your body asks for stillness, listen. If your mind craves silence, honor it. If your spirit feels weary, let it be held. You are worthy of rest. Without guilt. Without conditions. Just because you are. Somewhere along the line, someone made you feel like you were too intense, too emotional, too complicated, too sensitive. So you started shrinking, softening your tone, holding back your joy, diluting your truth. But let me say this clearly. You are not too much. You are deep. You are layered. You are alive. The people who told you otherwise were intimidated by their own smallness. Your fullness reflected their emptiness. Shadow work invites you to reclaim your bigness, to stop apologizing for your existence, to take up space emotionally, spiritually, energetically. The right people won't just handle your depth. They'll honor it. They'll feel safe in it. You were never meant to be small. You were meant to be whole.